Welcome to Part 4. Science, technology, and control. Power abstracted. Consent assumed. The greatest triumph of modern control was not surveillance itself, but making it feel like convenience. People carry their trackers willingly. They charge them overnight. They panic when they are misplaced. The devices listen, watch, record, and remember not out of malice, but out of function. And function is never questioned. After all, the device belongs to the user. It just reports to someone else. The always-on world. Smartphones do not sleep. They register movement, location, proximity, habits, preferences, tone of voice, and attention span. Smart homes record when lights are switched on, when doors open, when voices speak certain words. Wearables track heart rate spikes, sleep patterns, stress responses, intimate, biological signals, once known only to doctors or lovers. Individually, each data point seems harmless. Together, they form a portrait more accurate than memory. People are no longer observed in moments, they are modeled continuously. Artificial intelligence that doesn't need intent. Artificial intelligence does not need ideology to exert power. It sorts, ranks, predicts, flags. It decides which resumes are seen, which loans are approved, which posts are promoted, which faces deserve scrutiny. Its criteria are proprietary, its logic unreadable, its errors statistically acceptable. When harm occurs, there is no one to blame, only an outcome. This is crucial. A system without intent cannot be accused of malice, even when its effects are devastating. Facial recognition turns identity into a key and a vulnerability. Cameras no longer watch crowds, they parse them. Every face becomes a searchable object, every movement a time-stamped event. The technology is marketed as safety, efficiency, progress. But faces cannot be revoked. A stolen password can be changed. A compromised face cannot. Once a population is indexed, anonymity becomes suspicious by default. Bodies as credentials. Biometric IDs promise certainty. Fingerprints, iris scans, implanted chips, each offered as a solution to fraud, inefficiency, or insecurity. Participation is voluntary at first, incentivized, then normalized and rigid. Access to healthcare, travel, employment, banking gradually tied to compliance. Those who refuse are not punished. They are simply excluded. The system never says obey. It just says access denied. Data without consent. Most people have technically agreed. They clicked accept. They scrolled past. They trusted the fine print to be harmless. Their data was collected legally, ethically, and continuously sold. Shared, aggregated, refined. No single piece mattered. But the totality did. Profiles emerge that know desires before they are articulated, fears before they are admitted, dissent before it is expressed. Prediction becomes preemption. Behavior is nudged, shaped, soft not through force, but through suggestion. People believe they are choosing freely, unaware how heavily the choice has been weighted. Platforms as political actors, technology companies insist they are neutral. They merely host content. They merely enforce guidelines. They merely optimize engagement. Yet their decisions determine which ideas spread, which movements stall, which voices disappear quietly without explanation. Censorship is rarely overt. It comes as a deranking demonetization or algorithmic invisibility. The content still exists. It cannot be found. Silencing becomes indistinguishable from the irrelevance. Manufactured silence. It's those who question the system are not jailed. They are flagged, shadowed, labeled as unreliable. Their reach shrinks. Their credibility erodes. Their warnings fail to propagate. Others see what happens and adjust their behavior accordingly. Self-censorship blooms not out of fear of punishment, but fear of futility. Why speak if no one will hear? Why it works? This form of control succeeds because it is distributed, not centralized. It is automated, not intentional. It is invisible, not violent. It feels modern, not oppressive. People are not conquered. They are integrated. The system does not demand loyalty. It merely records deviation. And in a world where everything is tracked, deviation becomes the rarest act of all. Space, aliens, and reality questions, cosmic silence, partial truths, and the terror of not knowing. The sky has always invited questions. Authority is always answered selectively. Governments insist there is nothing to hide, while simultaneously classifying enormous portions of what they observe. Objects are tracked, renamed, reclassified. Unknowns become anomalies. Sightings become data. Curiosity is managed through terminology rather than answers. Disclosure arrives in fragments. Each admission raises more questions than it resolves. Something is acknowledged, but never explained. Enough truth is released to relieve pressure, never enough to provide clarity. The public is left suspended between ridicule and revelation, trained to mock curiosity while sensing omission. The withheld answer, if contact ever occurred, it would not be announced with certainty or ceremony. It would be buried in reports, compartmentalized across agencies, filtered through layers of clearance, until no single individual possessed the whole picture. Silence would not be enforced by threat, but by procedure, by the quiet confidence that nothing fully visible can ever be challenged. The unsettling idea is not that humanity is alone, but that it may already know it is not, and has chosen to say nothing. Technology without a lineage, stories persist of breakthroughs that appear without ancestry advances, that leap past expected development curves, lacking the gradual progression normally visible in scientific history. Official narratives attribute this to genius, coincidence, or classified research. Others suggest interpretation rather than invention. Whether true or not, the narrative endures because it implies exclusion. That knowledge exists which is not shared. That progress is not collective, and that access is restricted by design. The militarized sky space is described as a frontier of peace, discovery, and shared wonder. Yet satellites do more than observe stars. Orbits become territory. Silence conceals intent. Defensive systems are renamed as safeguards. What is launched publicly is only a fraction of what is deployed privately. The heavens are not empty. They are monitored, contested, and prepared, though no one will say for what. Reality as architecture, certainty erodes. Some begin to question not just the sky but the structure beneath their feet. Simulation theories gain traction, not because they are comforting, but because they explain a creeping sense of constraint. Systems feel scripted. Outcomes feel pre-approved. Choice feels narrower than advertised. If reality is constructed, then control is not merely political or technological, it is architectural. And whoever understands the structure understands the limits. Energy, earth, and ancient knowledge. Forgotten masters, buried systems, and power that predates memory across civilizations separated by oceans and millennia. The same shapes recur. Pyramids, grids, alignments. Structures built with precision that modern tools still struggle to replicate. Official explanations. Site ritual, symbolism, coincidence. Others sense intention. A world wired long ago, ley lines are dismissed as myth, yet independently drawn maps echo one another. Sacred sites clustered unnaturally. Temples, stones, monuments align with celestial events, magnetic anomalies, and geographic harmonics. The suggestion is not that ancient peoples were primitive, but that they understood forces later forgotten or deliberately abandoned. If the Earth itself is a system, then knowledge of how to interact with it would represent power beyond currency, borders, or armies. The invention that never arrived throughout history. Individuals emerge who speak of limitless energy motion without loss, resonance without fuel, power drawn from fields rather than resources. Their work stalls. Their notes vanish. Their funding evaporates. Their reputations decay after death. No single act of suppression is required. Only neglect, ridicule, and the quiet withdrawal of institutional support. Scarcity remains the operating assumption because abundance would destabilize every structure built upon dependence. Gravity as a lock. Anti-gravity, field manipulation, propulsion. Without mass, these ideas persist because they threaten more than physics. They threaten borders, logistics, enforcement. Whoever masters movement masters sovereignty. So the theories remain theories, not disproven, just permanently deferred. Religion, spirituality and control. Faith structured, mystery curated. Awakening deferred. Religion began as an attempt to understand the unknown. Over time, it became an institution tasked with managing it. The curated sacred. Official doctrines offer certainty but only within approved boundaries. Texts are selected, translated, edited, and interpreted. Contradictions are smoothed. Mysticism is compartmentalized. Direct experience is replaced with instruction. Alternative gospels are labeled heretical. Esoteric teachings are hidden behind initiations, languages, or sealed archives. Divinity is acknowledged, but access is regulated. Power beyond death. Apocalyptic narratives shape obedience more effectively than law. Fear of judgment discourages rebellion. Promises of future salvation pacify present suffering. Authority is framed not as control, but as divine order. Those who question are warned not of punishment by institutions, but by eternity itself. Vaults and silence. Organizations guarding ancient knowledge cite preservation as motive. Responsibility. Context. Yet secrecy persists, even when disclosure would cause no harm. Archives remain sealed. Texts remain untranslated. Entire traditions are dismissed as dangerous rather than debated. Faith becomes dependent, not on experience but on trust in gatekeepers. The unifying fear what connects these narratives is a single unsettling implication that humanity once knew more than it does now. That knowledge was lost not accidentally, but selectively. That control is not only political or economic but cosmological and spiritual, and that the most powerful act is not ruling populations but defining reality itself. Final note. The unspoken constant classification pending there is one assertion that never appears in official records, never survives peer review, and never makes it past classification barriers yet. Circulates endlessly in fragments, whispers, and forbidden archives. Extraterrestrials do exist. They are. They have always been here, not as invaders, but as a constant presence folded into the margins of history. Mistaken for gods, angels, demons, or imagination, depending on the era. Their existence has been managed, not denied, revealed only in ways that preserve order and authority. The truth is not hidden because it is unbelievable, but because it has the ability to destabilize. And now, as systems strain and narratives fracture, containment is failing. You will soon find out. Truthfully, I am telling you now, it will be within the next 2 years for us. Yes, it is that soon. So people, that's this one wrapped up. Continue to part 5. Catch you in a moment.